Moreno, and for this video, I will discuss to you a chapter 1 of 6 pieces of globalization. Who wins, who loses, and why it matters by Anthea Roberts and Nicholas Lamp. The title of chapter 1 is Unscrambling Globalization Narratives. The main purpose of this chapter is to help us understand why people have very different opinions about globalization and why it is difficult to explain globalization using only one perspective. At first, globalization was generally viewed in a positive way, especially after the end of the Cold War. Free markets, international trades, and investment were believed to create economic growth, prosperity, and opportunities. The authors explain that this became the dominant way of thinking about globalization in many Western countries. However, this positive consensus gradually weakened. Events such as the 2008 global financial crisis, increasing concerns about inequality, Brexit, the rise of populism, tensions between the United States and China, climate change, and the COVID-19 pandemic caused people to question whether globalization really benefits everyone. This leads to one of the most important ideas in the chapter. Globalization has different phases. Roberts and Lamp use the metaphor of a scrambled Rubik's Cube. To explain this, a Rubik's Cube has different phases and different colors, but all of them are part of the same object. In the same way, globalization can be understood through different narratives. Each narrative focuses on certain experiences, problems, and groups of people. The authors identify 6 major narratives. The first is the establishment narrative, which can be described as the everybody wins. It is an everybody wins perspective. It argues that free trade and economic globalization increase efficiency, reduce prices, expand consumer choices, and create long-term economic benefits. The second is the left-wing populist narrative. This perspective focuses on inequality and argues that the benefits of globalization have often gone disproportionately to wealthy elites, while ordinary workers and the middle class have not benefited equally. The third is the right-wing populist narrative. It focuses more on workers and communities that believe they have lost jobs, economic opportunities, or cultural stability because of globalization, immigration, or foreign competition. The fourth is the corporate power narrative. According to this perspective, multinational corporations are major winners from globalization because they can operate across borders, influence international roles, and increase their profits. The fifth is the geo-economic narrative. This focuses particularly on competition between powerful countries, especially the United States and China. It argues that economic interdependence can also create national security and technological risks. Finally, there are the global threats narratives. These perspectives focus on problems such as climate change, pandemics, and other risks that can affect everyone. Instead of saying that only certain groups lose, these narratives warn that globalization and global interconnectedness can create risks for humanity and as a whole. For me, the most important lesson from the chapter is that no single narrative completely explains globalization. Each perspective shows us something important, but each one also has limitations. If we look only at economic growth, we might ignore inequality. If we focus only on inequality, we might overlook benefits of trade. If we focus only on national security, we might fail to recognize the importance of international cooperation. This is why the authors introduce the idea of dragonfly eyes. Dragonflies have many lenses that allow them to see the different directions. The authors use this as a metaphor for thinking about complex issues. Instead of seeing globalization through only one lens, we should examine different perspectives and then try to connect the insights that each perspective provides. This idea is very relevant to us as a student. When we discuss globalization, it is easy to immediately decide whether it is good or bad. But the chapter teaches us that the answer is more complicated. A person who works for a multinational company may experience globalization differently from a local worker whose job is affected by foreign competition. A consumer may benefit from cheaper products while another person may worry about job security or environmental consequences. Therefore, understanding the different perspectives does not necessarily mean agreeing with all of them. It means making an effort to understand why people see the same issue differently. Globalization should not be viewed as simply a battle between winners and losers. It is a complex process that produces different effects for different people, communities, countries, and institutions. In conclusion, Roberts and Lump encourage us to move beyond one-sided thinking. Like a Rubik's Cube, globalization has many pieces, and we need to examine those pieces together. By using what the author called dragonfly eyes, we can develop a deeper, more balanced, and more informed understanding of globalization. And that's all for our discussion in Chapter 1, 6 Pieces of Globalization. Thank you for listening.